It's 5 p.m., so we'll begin. We have some members on Zoom. We have Christine and Ann, and we have Julia on Zoom. Thank you for joining us that way. I wanted to make just a few announcements of things that are coming up. We have Johnny Walker Beach Day. That is September 27th. Program starts at 10:30 a.m. at Johnny Walker Beach, commemorating Johnny Walker's contribution. And attendees are encouraged to bring food. There will be light refreshments. The parking meters will be enforced, so be sure to pay. But it should be a very nice event. The City of Lewis is reminding everyone to keep their sidewalks safe and accessible. Make sure everything is trimmed and tidy, and also make sure your trash cans and recycle bins are put away promptly. For next year, tulip bulbs are for sale now at Floral Inspirations on East Savannah Road. You can order the Tulip of Lewis now. I think they come in bags of 10. You can call and they are available on a first come, first served basis. The City of Lewis is holding its Community Service Day on Friday, October 3rd. So this is where the city staff is inviting residents to come join for community beautification as the city is building a more connected and resilient town. There are a number of projects available, so you can go onto the website and sign up. There is a form you have to fill out, but there's everything available from 2nd Street, trails, Bay Avenue, Moby Mat cleanup. So there's a variety of things depending on your time and ability to help out. So please do so. Are there any more announcements? Does anybody have anything else?
I just have some flyers on this if anybody needs them.
Thank you. Thank you. It should be a very nice day. As far as the agenda goes, item E1, the reorganization, would like to postpone that until October so that we have word on who will be the permanent chair, and then we can make a better decision among us about who would fill the vice chair and secretary roles. Other than that, our next item is the approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets from July 21st and October 18th. Are there any corrections, changes? I'm sorry, what did I say? August 18th, yes. July 21st and August 18th. No
I move we accept the minutes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is update on park projects and status. So why don't we start with Marty? Do you want to go first?
Sure. A few months ago, I announced that we had applied for another Teddy grant for 2026. We got the answer back that we were denied a Teddy grant for 2026. The grant letter itself didn't have any explanation other than there was a lot of applicants and not a lot of money. And anyway, I looked into a little bit, and it looks like the kinds of projects that got funded were a whole lot bigger than what we had in mind for doing here. On average, each of the 9 projects was planting well over 1,000 trees each, and from the dollar amounts involved, it looks like they were planting bare wood or seedling trees, and which was not the. It was just not the concept of what we were looking to do, so it doesn't surprise me. We just didn't fit into the Teddy philosophy of that, for this particular grant. So we'll see about next year. See if we can do any better. The strategic plan, you all have copies. I've been working on that. I tried to incorporate all the comments you sent in. I apologize if I got something wrong, but tonight we can fix it. I was working on the Liberty Tree issue with Christine and Rodney. More about that later today. our code chapters that cover Parks and Rec are chapter 40, which is overall Parks and Rec, chapter 177, which is trees. I'm making notes on changes that I'll present to the Parks and Rec at a later date. I'm gonna wait for sure until after we finish with our strategic plan because that takes such a lot of time. But if you have any ideas on anything in those chapters you'd like to update, please let me know and I'll incorporate them. There's a new commission, the Economic, Environmental, and Resiliency Commission, EERC. They had their first meeting this past week. They have a number of responsibilities, but one of them is managing the 4th Street Preserve. They have a subcommittee that's going to do that. Janet's on that subcommittee.
Yes, that the preserve isn't under Parks and Recreation.
It's
It's
not
under the,
It's under EERC.
Mhm.
But in that connection, I made a comment at their meeting. Right now, our chapters 40 and 177 says Parks and Rec is responsible for the whole urban forest, including all the trees on city property. Well, that's not true when 4th Street Preserve comes into play. So there will have to be some edits. And there's some other edits I thought would be useful. So I offered some ideas and I'll follow up with them more on that later. I think that's it for right now. Thanks.
Thank you. Any questions? Barry?
I made the same announcement, at the last meeting that the last public, meeting for the master plan for the Great Marsh Park will be on October 27th at 5 o'clock right here in this room. And, the style of it is an open house where the plans will be displayed throughout the room and, residents can come in and chat with myself as well as, Ellie Lance, the good architect, will be here, and city and state people. So that it's going to be like an open house kind of thing. Drop in and ask questions, that kind of thing. I just contacted the state forest department about developing a management plan for the forest there, because now that we know we have the approval for the park is pretty eminent, because we're having the last meeting. We should be able to really start to develop resources to Great Marsh Park. And one of the things that we can use the state forest to develop a plan to manage that while it takes a number of years to develop it. We can't just leave it without managing it. So anyway, that's about it.
Thank you. Ray?
Thanks, Kay. Zwannendale Park looks, in my opinion, really awesome. Herb Garden too. Very cooperative of weather we've had through the summer after we got rid of the heat. Irrigation system there, it's a long-term project, but it seems to be covering, most of what we needed to cover. And we do some manual watering in some of the places where the irrigation system does not reach. Thanks to some volunteer efforts, the fountain is up and running. I got to thank publicly Councilman Joe Elder, and Bill Edelman from Lewis and Bloom. We went in and looked at the fountain and what needed to be done. We put a Band-Aid on it to get it working. We got the lights working, and we have to manually fill it. The only thing with that is not the way it was before is we need to manually fill it. So I have a schedule, and in the hot weather, we did it twice a week. Probably only have to do it once a week now just to keep the water level up. So long-term plan for the fountain is a long-term plan. That's about what it is. We'll see what happens with the budget. And but also we have some, I've talked to some people around the city that, love the fountain and would like to, we might be able to put together some kind of a public program to fund either the repair of the fountain or to put a new fountain in. And again, that remains to be seen. about what that decision will be. But for now, the fountain is running, it's up and running. Probably we will shut it down. Traditionally, we have shut it down before Cape Henlope and Henlope homecoming because they tend to want to put things in the fountain. So, and that's, I think, the couple Fridays from now. So we still haven't made that decision whether we're going to do it or not, but that's it. That's it for Zonadale.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, not a whole lot for George H.P. Smith Park. Park does look good. Lot of, notice a whole lot of traffic there, people walking their dogs, walking, and noticed like an uptick in the fishing too. So, yeah, so that's good to see. Believe it or not, though, it is a little dry, so we could use some rain. So hopefully the rain that they call for, we actually get. We seem to have this Lewis force field going the last few weeks where stuff just kind of goes around us. So, so here's hoping for a little of that.
This week you might get it.
Yep, I hope so. Yep, that's all I have.
Thank you. Rodney?
Yeah, Canal Front Park, I think things are doing very well there. Now, the only thing I would, I would just bring to your attention, today I put 2 stakes in the ground at Marty's request, suggesting a location for 2 sourwood trees flanking the entrance to the tennis court. So if you all want to go look at them, you're welcome to.
Thanks.
That's all.
All right, thank you. Christine?
I don't have anything to report for Stango Park this month, so everything looks great. Thank you very much, Kay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anne?
I'd just like to say that the lights for the courts are really appreciated by the players who can go and play at night. It's a very, very nice lighting system that you put.
Excellent. Thank you. Stroman, maybe you and I can talk about the beaches. I think the main thing has been that we have lifeguards in September weekends. And last Sunday, not counting a week ago Sunday, we've had a lot of beach traffic. And I know I have heard people who maybe weren't aware of it, who, once they saw there were lifeguards, were like, oh, good, because they had a number of small children with them, like, we're going over there. And so I think that's been a really nice service to offer. A surprise and a pleasant surprise for most people, so.
I agree. We've gotten a great response. Everybody that's come out to the beach has been very appreciative and very happy that we're there. And I can also tell you that since Fall Patrol started, which is only Saturday and Sundays, the Beach Patrol's made 4 rescues. So that right there tells me it's all been worth it.
Very important.
Even if we only had 1, but I mean, we don't have any, we're still there to prevent anything from happening
Exactly.
or if we're needed. So
The water's very inviting.
it's been great.
Yes, it has been. This last Saturday was National Coastal Cleanup. And I know that more than 100 people signed up in Lewis alone to clean the beaches, which is a lot of people. And that was a very nice turnout.
It
So,
was. And the beach looked great when they were finished.
Yes,
So
there was a lot of work. So it's much appreciated. So yes, I think everything's going well in that department.
4 days left, unfortunately.
But it's nice that it's pushed.
Yes, we hate to see it end, but it's been a good season.
It has been. It has been. Anyone else? Miss Julia, do you have anything to add to our?
No, but thank you.
Okay. All right, our next item of business, review and possible action on the commission's bylaws. Everyone received a copy of the bylaws? And I'm wondering if anyone would like to begin discussion. I have a couple of things, but I would like to hear what everybody else was thinking with the bylaws. Any changes?
May I start?
Absolutely.
There are 2 things with the bylaws that I think we need to reconsider. And they have to do with recusal and the bylaws about, and participation, I guess.
Okay.
I don't think the bylaws are clear or anybody's clear on what constitutes a conflict of interest. I think we need to have some guidance on that, perhaps from the city. So it doesn't need to be in our bylaws, but it needs to refer to some definition of conflict of interest. In my view, a conflict of interest is when a person is in a position to derive personal gain from a decision that they participate in an official capacity. And therefore, just the fact that if I may belong to Lewis and Bloom doesn't mean that I don't have to recuse myself, because it's all volunteer. I'm not going to have any personal gain from that participation. So it's not clear to me when a person, and the bylaws say it's up to the individual to decide when they should recuse themselves. So I think we need some clarity in that. The other part that I actually object to, and you may agree with me or may not, is the bylaws that say that if you do recuse yourself, you then have to not only not participate in any discussion, but you have to remove yourself from the room where the discussion is. And I just find that to be very counterproductive, because I think people could have something that would be very useful to say and useful for the rest of us to hear in the meeting. And the idea that you have to leave, not only not participate, that's bad enough, but to actually remove yourself from the meeting just doesn't make any sense to me. So that's my reaction to it. I would like to see the bylaws revised so that that's not a requirement.
Do you think it would benefit? Do you think we would revise this once we had a presentation from the city? And and I don't mean a lecture, but I mean like give and take, like, what about this situation? What about that situation? And then come back to this issue once you have clarity.
I don't know how people feel about it. Those are my feelings. I feel fairly strongly about it, but I don't know how the city is going to come down on it, especially with a definition of a conflict of interest. I know in other boards that I've served on, I had to sign a non-conflict of interest document saying that if there was something that the board was going to do, that if I were going to have personal gain, that I would recuse myself. It was fairly clear. And I just don't think it is clear in this situation. That's all I'm saying. We need to clear that up.
I think a presentation would be very helpful. And because I think often people think it's money. And while it is money, it's influence as well, which is much harder to define. And it's also the appearance of influence. And that sometimes you just have to remove yourself because you don't want to taint the project. I mean, these rules, this was taken from, I believe, Planning Commission, because leaving the room was absolutely necessary, because if you were sitting and sort of doing this or this,
I could do that anyway.
but if
I could hear something that I think is just ridiculous and make a face.
Wait, and you can. When you're a voting member, you can. But if you were not voting and you made,
I understand what you're
you'd be
saying.
sued if that somehow were an influence, were to sort of be like,
In my mind,
you know
the
what I mean,
whole,
to have a face of any sort of steering. So that's where this comes from.
in my mind, the whole issue with recusal is that the individual had to recuse themselves. It wasn't the body that says, hey, you got to recuse.
Right.
It's your own ethics. So I mean, you can start right there, as long as we know what the definition is and we understand it, it's our decision whether we decide whether they're going to recuse ourselves.
but-
The body doesn't recuse you.
But it's the
I think
chair's,
I'm correct.
But it's the chair's responsibility to ensure compliance.
So
Well-
if I may, the mayor and city council is aware of this issue. And I actually talked to her about it, and she actually, at a mayor and city council meeting, it wasn't the last one, it was the one before that, I think. She undertook to have a working group look at this overall, because, I mean, obviously, we're not the only commission that has these kind of issues pop up. So I think they're undertaking a review right now. I think we need more clarity from
Legal
mayors,
counsel.
from mayors, well, maybe legal, maybe, some of it's legal, some of it's policy, frankly. Some of it's policy and how tight we want to be. So personally, I'd like to wait and see what they come up with, and if we still have concerns or questions, maybe we'll go back and ask them, but.
Right, I think a meeting where there's give and take, not just here are rules, but say, well, what about this situation? And what about this situation? I think that's when you get a comfort level with what's expected. So I think what we can do is wait for the results of this group and then have a presentation by legal, and then come back to this and then see about revising once we've got some more information about what the thought is.
And
Does that sound like a good idea? Does that sound,
I think
That's a fine way to proceed.
okay,
Yeah, can I just jump in?
certainly.
Thank you. I think the case of the Planning Commission is a little bit different because they're dealing with developments, which means a lot of money. In other commissions, you're dealing with volunteers. And I like Rodney, would be sad to miss out on the expertise of some people who need to express their point of views on certain aspects that other people don't know about. And I just think that there should be some common sense here about what people can express, and the definition, of course, of influence, you know, okay. We're in a small city here. We know who's working and doing what. And yeah, I really think that leaving the room or not being able to express your opinion in the case of something that involves volunteers is a little bit excessive.
I think the whole idea is fairness and equity is what we're at. And I mean, I think if we focus on that, you know, we can resolve this or come to a.
There will always be
Understand.
subjective judgments.
I mean, in some,
But I think there are some things that happen all the time, and the answer always ought to be the same. If you're a member of an
Right.
organization, can you vote on something related to that organization? It shouldn't be, you decide one day to the next whether it's true or not.
Right.
And just tell me the answer and I'll comply. You know, that's the way I feel. Just
Frankly,
tell
I
me what the policy is and I will deal with it.
Right.
You know?
I want opinions and influence from somebody that's working right with that. I mean, suppose an organization came here and said, hey, we want to put carnivals in every one of your parks. Well, you know, maybe one of the persons had an interest in one of the I mean, I would want the influence of rec and parks, the neighbors or whatever, of course. But sometimes the influence is needed and important to making the decision. So, I mean, I don't want to belabor it, but I think.
Well, it's information also, and I think 2 months ago when we were talking about whether or not to put a 4x4 painted post in a garden, and Bill said, you know, well, I'm going to recuse myself from a vote, but there's some important things that I think you should ask. And he was basically, because of these rules, you know, not that anybody had anything against Bill, but these rules wouldn't permit him to say some things. And what he was going to say was actually very helpful to the group.
Important.
Okay. That's what I object to.
Well, and I certainly understand, because I think the thing is, I mean, we're all volunteers. And the thing is, when you wear one hat, sometimes you can't wear some of the others. And it's, you just have to give some things up sometimes, and that's something we have to be comfortable with. I think it would be helpful to have a discussion with legal and to really talk about it from our point of view, from what we have seen and experienced. And I think then we could get a comfort level and then see about the policy.
No objection.
Okay, so we'll put that on a front burner if we can, Janet. I mean, I don't know what the mayor and council's timeline is, for looking into this as a subject. I'm sure they have many, many things that they are working on at the moment. So-
Interesting you say that, because we were just talking to the mayor about priorities. Because there's a lot of projects.
A lot of,
going on
and
right now.
I'm sure everybody wants to be
Yep.
top priority. So I don't know what's a reasonable, I don't know, 6 months. I don't know what's a reasonable time frame.
Mhm.
I guess is the question.
I'm
but
not
just-
sure that I can answer that right now, Kay.
Exactly. I figured, but just
We've
to,
got
have
5
something-
council members submitting 3 to 5 priorities by Monday of next week. And we have I don't know,
budget.
probably 20-page list of projects that are either in progress or completed or not even started yet.
Mhm.
And so they've got some prioritizing to do.
Well, and a budget.
Mhm.
Right. So, I mean, I get that everybody's dancing as fast as they can.
Mhm.
So if it's more reasonable for us to have a meeting amongst ourselves first and work on that, maybe we can do that
Mhm.
so that we can keep this going and get everybody's input and thoughts. That would be very helpful.
Yep.
I'll put that on for next month, just to sort of as a placeholder, as a
Okay.
maybe.
Just
And-
one thing I noted when looking at this, page 4, Article 7, meetings, A1, it still says 6:30. And the meeting is at 9.
It also
5.
says 11 members, right?
Yeah, and I think that the recommendation as the city moves to this commission working in the park system and not individual parks is say up to X number of members. And as I look right now, we have 8. It's never good to have an even number because then you get split decisions. So I would recommend up to 7 or 9. And 9's a hefty lift, but we've had more than that in the past. Those would be my 2 recommendations.
Okay.
It's in code though. I think that's in chapter 40, isn't it?
I didn't bring mine with me. I couldn't.
I think, yeah, well, I think that whole chapter 40 is probably going to have to change. And there is a committee appointed, well, don't want to, yeah. So that is something that they can take up with consultation with this committee. And I would say you, Clay, as the chair, would be the person to with staff to make that suggestion.
Well, that's, like I said, I intend to put together some changes I think are advisable for those 2 chapters and certainly fold that in. And if there's anything else, and, when we bring it up, we can offer any more suggestions we have.
Right, because
But
consistency is hard.
After Parks and Rec, then we would turn it over to the ordinance review committee to deal with it the rest of the way. I assume that's the process at this point.
It
Yeah.
is. I was going to mention that
And
later.
I think perhaps one thing that the commission should consider is what subject matter experts, right, that you want to see experience qualifications for park commissioners, because it's going to be different than just working in a park. It's really park system management.
Now, say it's going to be different, where does that come from? Make it sound like a done deal. And we haven't seen anything that changes that concept. I'd like. to
Well,
see-
because there has been some pushback. So what I'm doing is just talking the language right now so that y'all get used to it. But I think that Commissioner Beshy has talked about park system before we even got to this point. Barry, I know you've worked in Maryland park system. So I think there's precedent out there. When we first started talking about it, I sent everybody, when I was chair of the commission, I sent everybody an article about park management. So,
No, I'm totally on board with the park system concept, totally on board. But when it comes to saying you don't have certain commissioners whose primary responsibility is a certain park, where's the primary liaison of that certain park? Maybe it's a way of talking about what that relationship is. I don't know. That's when I have concerns, but that's something we need to talk about a lot more.
mhm.
Figure out what we want to say.
And I think it will have budget implications as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues, but
Yes.
it's not something that anybody is expecting the commission to just jump into right away. It's a learning process. So,
Excellent.
Okay, so back to, this is a little bit, Article 6. There's only one paragraph in there. It right now says to notify the chair at earliest at 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting. Well, we should need to push that back. We're pushing back the time of the, if they can't be at the meeting. That should be down 2:30, because it was,
That's fine. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
unless somebody's ill at the last minute,
well.
and that's fine too. I mean, you know, if you can't make it, you can't
That's
make it.
what it says.
Right, but we can change that to 2:30. I don't,
Emergencies always.
yeah, emergencies are always a possibility. I don't have a problem with moving that back.
Um, That's all I have.
Anyone else have anything on this? All right. I will work on getting a presentation, see if we can't get a presentation on recusal. And possibly for next month, maybe, I don't know if that's being overly ambitious, but we'll work on it. I did want to say I will be away for the November meeting.
so Kay, one of the things, the mayor has a city staff working group on governance issues. And the city solicitor and the city clerk have been working on kind of the rules of order.
Mm.
FOIA, Robert's rules, whatever.
Mhm.
But I think maybe perhaps recusal would fall under that category. So I'm not sure where they are. I heard today that they're close to being ready. So that might be the avenue that we go. And they're going to be presenting to each committee and commission. I don't know in what format that's going to be. It may just be to the chairs, and then the chairs run the meeting accordingly. So I think let me see where that stands and what's included in
Okay.
that particular presentation.
Okay,
We're working on also the role of the staff liaison, and clarifying that for everyone. So there's a lot coming down on governance of the meetings, because some commissions, turn over and they just don't know. So,
right, and training is key. And I think everyone being consistent is key,
mhm,
because you can't have kind of tier 1, tier 2. Everybody
Absolutely.
has to be on the same.
If there's training for officers, it should be at least the chair, vice chair, and in our case, the secretary, because.
You never
as
know
secretary,
who's
I
gonna
run
have
the
to.
meeting, and
Right.
If you recuse yourself tonight, I'm gonna have to run the meeting for a few minutes.
Right, and I'm gonna be away in November, and if we don't have a chair,
I'll be away in December, so.
Okay. just. Just. So yeah, it is coordination to make sure we have consistency. Got it.
Okay, just point of clarification then, we were talking about the number of commissioners. I think right now it says 11.
It says, shall consist of 11 members.
Mhm.
So it's supposed to be 11 according
Right.
to our bylaws.
Right, and then we were going to adjust that down a little.
Well, Janet's suggesting saying up to 7 or 9.
Well, we have 8, so I don't think 7, I mean.
Well, 7
we-
being the minimum, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't
To
think
carry
we
the
should do
work.
that unless we have clarification on, we actually set up how we're gonna organize the structure.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know that it's, we've agreed that it's a done deal that we won't have commissioners for certain of these parks. I don't know that that's, I'm not convinced that it's the wise choice to have.
Say again?
So if we adjust it down to 9, that means that certain current commissioner positions won't be filled.
Right.
And we don't have a commissioner now for Mary Vessels and
Maybe you combine some things.
well,
Lots
that's
of
the
different,
question.
You know.
But see, that's,
Do this, I don't want to put this in the bylaws without having an agreement on how that's gonna work.
right, but that's why we're talking about it, and I think that, right now, we have what I would describe as a very provincial approach. Let's get people in, assign them a park. That's your park, that's your park, that's your park. That's counterproductive to a group of commissioners running a park system by its very nature. And that's going to be a hard thing to change.
Mhm.
But that's the direction that and I think others, some people have talked, think we ought to go into, okay? That's not going to be easy. And we're not going to do it today, but we ought to be talking about that.
I don't know the stuff about not gonna be easy, I understand change, I've been through change many, many times. What I haven't had is any clarification. In my mind, if you have nobody who's primarily responsible for keeping track of Canal Front Park, if everybody's.
But we're not
nobody's-
saying that.
Wait a minute, let me finish. If everybody's in charge, nobody's in charge. So what you will need, now whether you call it primary liaison, or I don't know, maybe you change the nomenclature. But I still think there's gotta be somebody who says, I'm gonna pay more attention to this park versus that park.
I don't
Because-
think anybody disagrees with that.
Well, that's what I've been
It
hearing.
may end up being a hybrid. We can't
That's
decide what the structure is right now.
That's why we need.
Talking about it, so you can't specify that.
That's
We
why-
don't know what it's gonna look like. We don't know if people are gonna be called chairman or or they're gonna take 3 parks and put them into one. We don't know any of that, so we can't
Well, that's.
really say it's gonna be this way or that way.
That's why-
We're working on developing that process.
That's why we need to not change the bylaws as far as the number of commissioners. Until we nail that down, don't change it. We need to understand what it's gonna look like before we change it.
I don't think anybody
And then-
disagrees. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. We're just not ready to change anything now. Let's keep going. Let's
Mhm.
find out what the city's going to come up with. That's what I want to know.
The only thing that I would recommend, because it's still a decision-making body, you have an even number of commissioners. So I would recommend at least one more. I don't think we need 11. So a candidate has been, several candidates have put in applications. So I can pass those to mayor and council. I will say that the commission needs to start to think about the expertise that they feel is critical to have on this commission. Because that will help the city formulate, okay, so where do we put our resources, right? It may be that commissioners are doing, and I say may, so, don't etch this into the tablet, please, but it may be that, commissioners aren't doing, you all do a lot of work in the parks. And from my perspective, I think you enjoy it. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. But maybe some of it falls more to staff. I don't know, you know, but those are things that the commission has to consider and put your thoughts and concerns forward, right? Because the city staff are talking about it, but I think, you know, and I'll go back to what the mayor said during her swearing in speech, her installation, is that the one thing that she doesn't want to hear, and you know, it was directed at staff, but I think it's also directed at the committees and commissions, is I don't want to hear we do it this way because we've always done it this way. And this body has been the same that it's been and functioned the same for years. So I'm just putting that out there to the commission.
I think that the thing that I see, that's one thing that has changed, is 30 years ago, everybody here did all the work. And there was a tiny budget for mowing. And now we have a massive budget. And that's the main difference. I was surprised at the size of the budget. And so that's where I see the main change. And then there are members, it takes me all month to get around to everybody's park, because I go to everybody's park, but I don't have a lot of free time. So I have to have sort of a schedule of when I can go and walk around. And I don't know how much I can contribute to other parks, because I think I've said this about the fountain. I love the fountain. I like the look of it. It's the only fountain in town. And I like the sound of it, but I don't know that it's, you know, got structural issues. So I don't know how helpful I am to anybody else, other than I'm trying, in that I do go to all the parks in town. And it does take me the whole month.
So I'm going to speak to language, figure that out. I think we have a shift in our thought process that needs to happen. And what I just heard the chair say is, it takes me a month to get around to everybody's park. We talk about, I hear commissioners say it all the time. I've been doing it for, you know, as the chair for, I don't know, 3.5 years, whatever. There's city parks. I completely understand that the commissioners have ownership, because you spend a lot of time in the park that you are assigned to. But I think this shift is going to start with, it's not my park, it's not your park. They are city parks, and we are stewards as volunteer public servants. We are stewards to manage the parks for all the people. And so I think that the commission really needs to start to shift the way they're looking at the parks and things. I mean, it's a really minute, tiny shift. But I have for 5 years heard people at the dais talk about my park. And I think that that's a very, very important shift that the commission needs to make.
I think time put in, and that's true with any project, with anything. Time put in gives you buy-in. And I mean it as respect, because I'm on this commission, but I don't have a direct input on other people's work, which is huge. And Great Marsh Park, that was a huge lift to get that together on many people's part. But I mean, I was more or less a bystander on that, and educating myself on it and going and walking it. But I don't at this point feel I have anything like the buy-in as those who did the heavy lift. So that's where my language comes from.
And I
mean, it
would
is
guess
respect.
that commissioners sitting at the table don't have the buy-in for the 2 beaches that are guarded. So I think probably everybody at the table has the same kind of feeling. With the exception maybe of Marty, because Marty does work in all of the
Everywhere.
parks,
Yeah,
right?
she's all
I
over
don't
the
think
community.
it's very often, there are no city trees there.
No, well, with the exception of those two.
But no, Kate makes a very good point. There are, look, there are some parks I get to a fair amount because I have tree stuff going on there. I'm planting a bunch of trees or whatever. Even some parks with a lot of trees in it, I don't get to nearly as much, and I don't understand. And there's a lot of things about the parks, other than trees, that are specialty items, like the fountain and like various other things that happen at Canal Front Park or whatever.
Mhm.
And you're gonna always need somebody who concentrates on that and knows what's going on there. So I would love to talk with Rodney more about that and his vision for how to make that all work. I understand your concern about nomenclature. I'm gonna try, but they're still my trees. There are trees.
No, they're
There
not.
trees.
They are not Marty Thompson's trees.
In her heart.
Yes,
I still have emotional ownership there. And you want that, you want that.
You want
as a
emotional
volunteer.
buy-in.
You want that on the volunteers, you want the.
want the buy-in. Yes, you do.
Because that's where you get the energy.
Well, and I think that's for all citizens with all
And
projects.
it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean that other people are excluded from the decision making. I think that's the one place where I think we really need more work. It doesn't mean that nobody else has a say in what happens there. We all need to put in our common sense and good ideas as to what happens at all the different parks. I think that's true.
Mhm.
But we still need people with expertise in the fountain or the whatever. Johnny Walker Beach, because I know almost nothing about it.
So what I'm hearing is we are going to have changes to these bylaws, but we're not going to have them right away. We're going to have, hopefully, I will follow up with Alex Burns and Ashley, right, about,
I'll find out where they are and I'll let you know.
okay, and then we can have a conversation with them. And that will help us with that section. We'll figure out what we're doing with the number of members. We'll change the time. And we'll change the time for attendance call-ins. So we're going to work on that. We won't have a finalization tonight on that. Now, the next item on our agenda is discussion and possible action regarding the Delaware 250 Liberty Tree. And I am going to recuse myself because I normally don't say why I recuse, but I'm a member of one of the groups that's involved in the discussion. So I'm going to recuse. Marty is going to handle this part of the discussion, and you'll let me know when I can come back.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you.
All right, so we had sent out an interim report that I think you all got, where Rodney and Kristen and I had agreed on a location. It's, you can almost see it from this window. It's out beside the pavilion, behind the library. It's a location that has plenty of room for a nice big tree to grow over the next couple centuries, which is what we're working for. People could gather under it and so on. You can see it from trail, you can see it from the pavilion, you can see it when you're coming to the concert at Stego Park. Especially as it grows big. So we thought that would be a good location. We thought about a white oak, but then we were apprised of an opportunity with the Sons of the American Revolution. Is there somebody here from SAR to?
He was not able to attend.
Okay.
Can I talk about?
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. I met last week because I got an email from a man named Chuck Smolka, who's a Sons of the American Revolution. The SAR, we're all familiar with the DAR, but there's also an SAR. And I met with him out on the site. He wanted to discuss a proposal, which I wasn't aware of, but apparently it came to the city before we were asked to think about what tree. The Sons of the American Revolution have a program underway to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation. And that program is to plant 250 American elms in the country. They would like to have one in every state. at least one represented in every state. And so they are underway, doing that, well underway, it seems. They selected an American elm, because the original Liberty tree, and I was not aware of this, which was a 129-year-old tree, which grew near the Boston Commons. And that is beneath that tree and around that tree, apparently, is where patriots met to complain about the British, put it simply. And at some point, the British said, well, that's enough of that. So they cut the tree down. But especially the Bostonians haven't forgotten about it. And so the idea of a Liberty tree, planted one in each state, commemorating the, really commemorating this organization, the soldiers, because they're the sons of the revolution, who fought and won our independence for us. Okay, so the city was approached with the idea of planting an elm. I've talked to Marty and Christine. An elm is a terrific tree. It's an American tree. It's an American tree that's on a big comeback, because back in in the 60s, 70s, when I was studying horticulture, they were dying out because of the Dutch elm disease. But now they have the resistant strains, and you can get them in nurseries. I've used them in my practice, and they're wonderful trees. They're easily established. They grow in a variety of soil conditions, from constrained streets to wet sites. They can put on 3, 4, 5 feet growth in a year. And of course, they have that classic elm vase shape, which no other tree really has. So it's a wonderful tree to put there. And after the three of us talked, we thought, well, why not? I mean, why not accept this offer and have a Liberty tree from this organization planted in that spot, because that's a location, it's a prominent location. It will give the tree plenty of room to develop with an enormous canopy, as it should, without soil competition from other trees and root systems. And it'll be it'll have a massive spread. It's next to a pavilion where you would have public events. So it's in a public square, if you will. It just makes all the sense to put it there. So we are proposing that we keep this Liberty tree in that location, and that we plant an American elm. Now, American elms are different strains, different cultivars, and they're slightly different in the size and the form. Some of them are more upright. Some of them have the more classic vase shape spread to them, which people remember if they remember the elm. There are actually some of them on Route 9 on the way to Georgetown. It's the very old ones. They're magnificent specimens.
Yep.
I hope they never expand that road and harm them in any way. So that's where we are with this. And our recommendation is to accept this offer and move forward.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This gift, and this would be a gift from the Sons of American Revolution, is that correct?
Correct.
And what size a tree are they prepared to donate?
We would like to put in a bigger tree than what they're recommending. They're recommending a small tree. I think they would get the tree for $150. That's the program, because they're doing it 250 of them. And that's a very small tree, and it's probably in a container. And our recommendation is, no, we should be looking at a tree a little bit bigger than that, maybe 2.5, 3 inches, maybe 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Field grown, so it's not grown in a container. That'll give us the best, healthiest tree. And it's grown, the nursery that they're using is from South Carolina. No, we would want to use a nursery that's more regional here, so that the growing conditions and the soils and so on are closely matched what we would. And so the money, we would have to spend more money.
Do you have an idea what that money would?
Well, I know that a tree that, I spoke to a contractor, a 3 to 3.5 inch caliper elm planted is $1,500 approximately. I mean, that's the order of magnitude. If you push it up to 3.5 to 4 inches, you're talking $1,750. And that's because the root ball is big enough. You got to use equipment to move. it. You
Sure.
just can't pick it up.
And that's the tree plus labor, including labor.
To plant and plant it in the ground.
Okay.
That's what I would be looking at now.
And are they available in this region?
Yes. Yes, there are great nurseries in New Jersey. I don't know if we can get a Delaware grown one, but we should look into that.
Mm-hmm.
We're certainly going to find them in New Jersey. There are wonderful nurseries over there that I've worked with over the years who have very excellent stock. And so what would come with the tree would be a dedication plaque that they would have to kind of explain what the Liberty Tree was and what this is, which I think would be, but what it actually says on it, how much it's going to cost, where it comes from, the actual size of it. Those are things that Marty and Christine and I would like to work on.
Mhm.
Do we need a motion to accept this?
Yes.
So, yes, and I think that it would be important in the motion to specify the size, as Rodney said, the caliper size, and to work with the Sons of the American Revolution on the size and wording of the plaque.
And that's why I would suggest it in this motion. Well, we talked about this with Christine, that we
Yes.
don't specify the size. We don't specify where it comes from. Let us do our homework. And we would go out and select this tree in a nursery, put a tag on it. We're not going to just order it. If we find one that's a beautiful specimen, that's maybe a little bit more, or maybe it's not. So the cost of it might, I wouldn't want to hinder ourselves right now.
So perhaps the motion would be that the work group that's already
Make this.
working on this make the decisions, but yes, there's agreement that we would like to do the Liberty Tree. And if it's even from the Sons of the American Revolution becomes a donation towards
Correct.
that for what they can with
Yeah.
their larger
Mhm.
project of planting 250.
Yeah, they're going to contribute to it.
Okay.
But we want control over what it is, where it comes
Sure.
from. We would control all of that.
We really want a tree that for real is gonna be here for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
And to do that, your best bet is get it, as Rodney said, to get a tree that's been field grown properly to where there's not problems deep in the root balls like you have with some trees that were container grown. So.
And would can we expect, or should we expect that the nursery from whom you buy this tree, is there any concern about the soil conditions that are actually present on this site where the tree would be planted?
Yeah,
That it needs to
that-
be amended and so forth?
To answer your question, that's normal in the business landscape.
So that,
Selecting trees, you are always aware of the soil conditions. And sometimes you want a different soil condition.
Right.
Depending on, if a tree has to come down the road and spend half a day on the truck bouncing around, you want more clay in that soil.
Mhm.
If it's coming from a close distance where it's not going to bounce around and break up, you can go with a very sandy soil.
Mhm.
So we'll be talking about all of those things before we come back to you and recommend what tree from where, what size, and what the cost is going to be. And this would be a spring plant
Right,
next spring.
for Arbor Day, I think was the targeted date, that around that.
It's Arbor Day, or someone else mentioned Earth Day, and then, of course,
Yeah.
Amy told me there's a lot of activities during that period of time. It'll have to be probably scheduled by City Hall, and see what else is going on.
Right.
because there's a lot of activities in that time frame.
Well, and you work it out with the
Yeah.
nursery when they want to
Yeah.
dig. It's a spring dig, so when it, you know, and it's a little bit
Sure.
less too.
Sure.
We've had rain for 2 weeks. We can't dig for another 2 weeks.
Right.
So, you know, we have to work all that
I
out.
understand all that.
But
A lot of variables.
Thing in March and then having the dedication
Sure.
ceremony.
yeah, I would rather see a March planting date
Yeah.
myself.
Before leaf break. Yeah.
So if we have to do it in March, I think the dedication of it would be appropriate for Arbor Day. And then we can tie it into a 250 celebration with giving the history of the elm tree and the Liberty tree, and then giving away saplings as we did other years for people to plant.
Yeah, we can work on getting.
So if it has to be planted, or if you prefer to be planted in March, that's fine. We just save the dedication for Arbor Day.
Right.
Can we just
I-
approve this as a body and concept and let you
Yes.
guys make?
Yes.
We prepared
Yeah.
a motion.
Yeah, we can make a motion.
Christine, are you still there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, good.
Would
Can you
you
hear
like to make the motion that we prepared?
Yes, please, I can do that. I'd also like to add that we have 4 elm trees planted in the park already. So we have confidence that this tree would be successful
Yeah,
as well. But I would like to make a motion, and I move that the city of Lewis accept the offer made by the Sons of the American Revolution to contribute to planting the Liberty tree in Lewis. The tree species be an American elm, and the location will be in the lawn adjacent to the new Lewis Library Pavilion. The tree will be installed with a dedication plaque. And we further move that details regarding the size and the nursery source, the costs, etc., will be determined by the project team consisting of Marty Thompson, Rodney Robinson, and myself. And Rodney will coordinate the project with city administration.
A second.
All in favor? I'm
Aye.
sorry. Any more discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We have a copy of that motion, if we can,
Yeah,
who should we give it to?
she can get it off there.
I can take it.
Okay.
Here
Any
you go.
opposed? Any abstain? Well, we know Kay abstained. Okay. Thank you. I guess we can ask Kay.
Want me to go grab her?
Thank you.
Thank you, Blue.
You all right?
I want to go on the site visit and help pick up the tree if I possibly can.
Yeah. We definitely want to hand select it.
Oh, I like nurseries.
Can Kay come back now?
She's on her way.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay.
Take your time. Thank you very much.
D3,
Continued discussion and possible action regarding a request to place a fence around, actually, to place a fence at the playground at Canal Front Park.
be the Canal Front Park
Playground,
playground, what
yes.
the agenda says.
Yes. So what I'd like to do is make a statement and then have us discuss, if that's all right. The city staff and Parks and Recreation volunteer members have been researching this issue since it was brought forward. I want to reemphasize that we don't have an A team, B team response to issues. Every issue is an A team issue, and citizens can expect response from elected officials, city staff, and city volunteers. We've all been to the site more than once. Park and Recreation Commission members have been researching similar situations in Sussex County. There are many, many parks and playgrounds, most near water bodies, whether natural water or retention ponds. None are fenced. Julia Kirsch, our Parks and Marina Administrator, is currently taking a multiple-day course to qualify to be a certified playground safety inspector. Having consulted with industry experts, we have learned that playground safety is a shared responsibility. The owner of the playground, in this case the city, is responsible for the footprint of the playground. As such, the city has provided a new state-of-the-art playground in concert with a national class designer constructor. There has been a playground on the site for 25 years with no safety issue. That being said, the supervisors of the children using the playground are the other part of the equation. Not every playground is suitable for every child. Only the child's parent or guardian can know that and take appropriate action. The city will look at signage for the park, indicating the age range of children, indicating the appropriate age range of children, and that use of the playground is at one's own risk. This aligns with the fact that the parents or supervisor needs to make that assessment if this playground is safe for their child. I would ask for a motion recommending that, following industry standards, the city not install a fence, but instead consider signage indicating the appropriate age range of children for whom the playground is intended, and indicating that the use of the playground is at one's own risk. Now, I know this is a lot to consider.
May I add to that, Kay?
Certainly.
Yes. Just a little bit of a review of the background and the history of the playground. You mentioned, of course, that we've had an existing playground there for 25 years, and it was installed as the original part of the Canal Front Park complex, and had to be replaced due to aging and play equipment. Some of it was deemed unsafe. And that Parks and Rec had discussions about the replacement for this playground beginning, I think, in early 2023. And subsequently, we had 4 Parks and Rec meetings, which involved bids from 3 different playground equipment companies. And they all proposed designs. And after careful consideration, we selected Compan for the installation. And Parks and Rec, if I recall, made a recommendation to City Council. And at that point, City Council held a workshop where a representative from Compan made a presentation to the community. And I feel as though the community was given ample opportunity to provide feedback. And in addition to that, Julia subsequently and successfully applied for and was awarded 2, not 1, but 2 grants from DenRec, their Division of Recreation and Trails Division, for a total of $250,000. And I think that was maybe for about half, if I'm correct, Julia, the total cost of the project. So the playground was completed. I think has received a lot of positive feedback for how well it blends in with the existing features of the park, as well as the amount of use. And I feel as though Parks and Rec and the city have followed a thoughtful process that, in my opinion, has been very thorough. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Yes, I just like to say that I've had several people come up to me to talk about this, and most of them were saying if we start putting fences there, we can put a fence around the fountain, we can put a fence around the train, we can put a fence at the beach, where do we stop, especially if we start saying the park system, and then we use the theme of fencing. And so just, for me, the most important thing at Canal Front Park is lighting and accessibility. And I think we've done that with this park. We've made it very accessible. I also think signage would be fine. That being said, I do encourage people living in Lewis to come forward and participate. and talk about their concerns. I think it's a very good thing.
Thank you, Anne. Anyone else? Thoughts?
Sure. I'm going to repeat what I asked the last time at our meeting, and I haven't changed my answer to the question, what's the difference between a child playing in the park or enjoying the park and a child enjoying the playground? If you take the position that we need to fence the playground, then is the next position to cut the park off from the water's edge? You could make the same argument. And I don't think anybody wants to do that. I could argue that a fence would not be helpful because a fence might give us adults a false sense of security. You go in there with your child, you're in there, now you can pay attention to your cell phone and not pay attention to your child. And if you have it fenced, do you have a gate? Is the gate open? Is the gate closed? Do people have to open it and close it every time they come and go? I just don't understand how that would work and how that would benefit. And if you had a gate and a narrow opening on one end of the park and somehow you see a child between the gate, between the fence and the water, how do you get out there quick? It might be a hindrance to go grab a toddler, as the lady described, running towards the water. So I'm just not convinced that it would be a benefit and that it would help. You know, just set the aesthetics aside and all of that. Just that her case was really about safety. I'm not convinced that it would make a big difference. And frankly, even with a fence and a gate, you can still have a tragedy. Okay, so my vote would be not. Not to put a fence.
Yeah, I'd like to add that this isn't the first time our commission has discussed fences versus non-fences in our parks. Most recently, a fence around the exhibit at the train, around the trains. I believe we discussed that last year. That's not so relevant to this discussion, other than the fact that, you know, we're familiar with the advantages or disadvantages to having fences around exhibits and playgrounds. In the case of the Lewis Junction Bridge Rail Association, they felt it would be more, and this is counterintuitive, that it would be more of a liability if they put a fence around the installation, curiously enough. But as you all know, we voted to not install a fence around the train installation, despite the fact that it's a child magnet. You know, kids are running around there all the time. And the Lewis Junction Bridge Rail Association, you know, wants obviously to encourage that type of engagement. So that was just a decision that we've discussed in the past, or issues we have discussed in the past. That's all I have to say.
Thinking about that, when you see the sculptures in J.H.P. Smith Park 2 years ago, I remember seeing kids really trying even to climb up one of the sculptures. You remember those mobiles? And we didn't think about putting fences. And I just like to come back to the playground. You come to play. You come and let your kid play, and it's quality time with your kid.
Well, if I could add, the lady that made the request was talking about neurodivergent children.
Yes.
And I would think that if you had a neurodivergent child that you were responsible for, you would be especially vigilant just crossing the street to get to the park. And so that person, that adult, has extra duties and extra care and extra responsibilities. And So I don't think a fence is going to make a difference.
I would say that you see neurodivergent children at the beach, Fairmount. There was a youngster pretty near me yesterday, and the whole family was there. And, you know, making sure that the child enjoyed everything, but it took everybody to, you know, get the child out of the van and in the proper setting. So I think people who come here, you know, with that situation are well schooled in what needs to happen and make sure that everything is safe. You know, you have to. Barry, were you going to say something? Okay.
So you need that motion.
Well, looking for a motion. What, this is what I had said.
It sounded good to me. Okay, I will make a motion recommending that, following industry standard, the city not install a fence, but instead consider signage indicating the appropriate age range of children for whom the playground is intended and indicating that use of the playground is at one's own risk.
Do we have, so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second, did I
Okay.
hear correctly? Did it say anything about a fence?
Not put it.
Not install a fence.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? Are we ready to vote? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, everyone. All right. Next item on our agenda is the update and possible action regarding budgeting for FY 27. Review the updated PRC strategic plan as accepted by Mayor and City Council and make recommendations on priorities based on the entire parks project list. Marty, thank you for thrashing this into shape over and over again. I'm sure you must
Yeah.
see it in nightmare form whenever you see a spreadsheet, because this is a lot of work.
It is, but I think we're getting closer and closer to something that's really hopefully useful. I think it's useful to me to help me think about all the different things going on in all the different places. Again, another step towards the system management.
Right, I mean, it's impressive how much work gets done by this group.
What I did this time is I rearranged the items in terms of what people told me their highest priorities were and on down. And then at the very end of the list, just because I think we need to pat ourselves on the back once in a while, I have a list of things that were accomplished in the prior year. So that's nice to see. So the highest priority, we talked last time and we kind of agreed that the highest priorities have to do with accessibility, safety, and security. And then there are a few other things on here that I'm not sure they are in, like for instance, beach stability. I think that got high priority marks. That got high marks for priority too. And is that safety or security? I don't know, but I put it in the highest priority list.
I think I would ask for webcams and internet before having some sort of professional look at the beaches for stability and so on. I think that's the webcams for safety and security are more important.
Can I just ask a question for clarity for people online and in the room? Are you looking at the routine maintenance list or the capital projects list?
Yeah. The beach stability one is the capital projects list, and it's the one that was attached to the agenda dated September 7th, 2025. So one thing I wasn't sure how to manage, the beach stability was listed as high priority, but the money is listed as being expended FY 28 and 29. So it's not like we're asking city council for money this year or for FY 27, so I wasn't sure how to fold that into the priority list.
I mean, I think the main thing I was thinking was that if some sort of professional were hired to review stabilizing the beach itself up near Children's Beach House, the yacht club and so on, if we could kind of piggyback and just say what's happening down here too. I don't think that we would hire someone just for a guarded area, but I think if there's a review of the areas that have erosion issues, that we would piggyback in there. So I would say that can be moved out of high priority. But that was my intention,
So that would be moderate priority.
moderate priority. Mostly situational priority.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to go down item by item or?
I don't think we can get it done tonight if we do that.
But,
Everyone has had a chance to look at this, right? Everyone has read this.
Yeah.
Are there issues that where you would see items that should be moved to a different spot? Or are we so sick of looking at this, we can't make a decision on anything?
I can't see it anymore. I've gone through it so many times.
Well, when
now.
you've typed it,
Depending on y'all.
when you've typed it, it's a lot.
I think you can have a high priority issue and have it in the FY 27 and 28 and 29. It's, you know, it's going to be a capital expense. It's going to be large, but it's a high priority for that time frame because we're looking 3 to 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, the near term was listed as, the 3 years and long term is 2 years after that. Last year. But the way it turns out on this chart, it's all the same.
Mention that routine and capital are both attached, correct?
Yes. Let's go over the capital. Does anybody have any changes on the first page of capital? Are we pretty okay with what we have on there? Sticking to accessibility, safety and security as being our watchwords.
I do have a question. On line 8 on the first page, we have, as is Wannadale Park, we have brickwork and reporting certain section on the paths. We also have brickwork for some of the other parks as a routine item, and I'm not sure. I mean, do we know for sure we need to put capital funds into the Wannadale Park issue? Is that why it's because the amount of money involved right now?
yeah, I know I don't have the money in my park budget to do it. So the thinking was if there's other brickwork that needs to be done around, it becomes a capital project to do the brickwork in all of the parks.
Mhm. So with the assessment of the fountain, part of that project is that there's going to need to be brickwork on the fountain surround itself and the brickwork on the pathways surrounding it, because when it floods, it's damaged a lot of the bricks there. So I think it makes sense from a monetary perspective to group together 1812, Mary Vessels, and Zwannendale, because all of those parks need brickwork done, and then you definitely have a capital project.
Okay, what I can do is put them all in one line or adjoining lines, and move some over from routine to capital. Because we have a line for that in Mary Vessels. And we have another one.
And Marty, you could put it in there as park system maintenance brickwork,
Park system.
capital expense.
Yeah.
Ray, you're speaking to me. Thank you.
What did you say again? Park system repair?
Park system maintenance brick repair.
And it remains an accessibility and safety issue, which is why it's high priority.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'll put all, the way it printed out, my version doesn't cut off some of the wording. So in lines, on the routine, line 7, is that about, is that about brickwork or is that
Marty, which line was that, please?
routine line 7? 1812 Park Water, repair condition of,
I believe it is brickwork. That was the way I was interpreting it.
okay, I'll move that over.
You also have brickwork on line 6 for 1812 on the retaining wall.
Mhm.
Line
That's-
7 says railing.
Will that be done at the same time?
Okay, so Julia, can you repeat that?
1812 on line 7 says monitor and repair condition of railings.
Not brickwork,
See,
Right.
railings.
So 6,
but 6 is the.
6 should move over.
7 should not.
Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going over the,
So can I clarify something for the webcams? I thought I heard that the city had underway an agreement with one of the providers to put in webcams in various places. Did I get that wrong?
Are you looking at line 9?
yes,
I think it's helpful for everybody if we identify the line by which we're talking. So there's a couple of projects going on. I just had a meeting with the chief earlier today, which is a grant funding, and it's really for Canal Front Park and the net house. I'd have to follow up and see where we are with the beaches. Like, I don't have an answer for that right now. But I don't think that was funded in 2026.
The beaches or,
The webcams and hotspots for the beaches.
right.
So should the years be moved?
Well, I think the commission, because we're coming into budget time, needs to consider which capital projects, because you've got several for 2027 already.
Yes.
So which ones need to move forward? And so I think that's what what should be prioritized now are the capital projects for 2027.
So if we just go down the capital project on line 4, it's about Canal Front Park accessibility plans. Is that underway or did we ask for money for that or? We gonna be asking for money for that or?
that I
Ju-
don't know.
Julia, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, so I actually just put in an ORPT grant up to $150,000 for pervious pavers to be put at Canal Front Park. It's going to be a quite expensive endeavor. So $150,000, obviously ORPT, we need to have a match, but it will probably, the city cost will end up exceeding the match. Looking to put pavers down in the parking lot, around the playground, around the bathrooms, under the arbor, and the entire accessibility area to the boardwalk by the marina. So that right now is the plan, and we should hear back. I believe Mike said they get awarded in January. I should hear back somewhere between December and January. And then it will be in the fiscal year 27 budget. So that's where we need to put money aside now. As I present the budget as we go forward, we're going to need to have that match and then some put into the budget for fiscal year 27.
All right. The next one is a lighting issue that we said we're gonna do in FY 28, 29. Is that still what we're talking about?
Is this item 4?
It's Canal Front.
It's
line
number
five.
five.
Line 5.
5.
5.
Must be reading wrong. You're talking about 5.
Here you go.
That's it.
Sure.
Return to light, the services of a lighting designer.
Yeah,
Study existing. Prepare a plan, recommend new fixtures and their distribution, develop a budget for the proposed improvements and pursue funding. That's the kind of thing that I think we should start right away. It's not gonna happen. And you're.
Microphone.
Thank you.
You will.
That's something we should start right away, but it's not gonna happen right away. And as you say, they're doing a, part of that study is the, not lighting the sky at night, right? So we're
Correct.
putting the light where it belongs. So you're going to have new fixtures to do that. But I think of a high priority is just to get that study started. It's a safety issue as much as anything else. And because I don't know if any of you have walked through that park, it's got some real dark spots in it. And it needs to be illuminated better than it is. So it's a high priority, but the first step is to study it, and maybe that could happen in the coming year.
Mm-hmm.
And once we study it, then we know what kind of costs we're dealing with, and whether you want to phase it or whether you want to do it all at once. That comes later.
so we wanna have something in our budget for the consultant to do a study, right? Okay, I think the city is doing other pilots on dark skies lighting, what works for our, and that, I
Mhm.
think that in turn will inform.
But it all
what
becomes one
works.
project then.
Yeah.
Well, sort of like the brick repair.
Yeah.
May I speak to that for a second? Just take 1 minute of your time to talk to you about the dark sky. I am in fact working on that with members of the community. And we have spent time in Canal Front Park, and we have actually taken some measurements of lumens. And the existing fixtures that currently are along the paths that run from adjacent to or parallel to the basketball courts and the parking lot there in the park were found to be very compatible with the dark sky the goals of dark sky illumination. So it's possible, I'd be very interested to learn about where there are dark areas in the park that need better illumination. But the field work that we completed a couple of weeks ago indicated that what was illuminated, the fixtures are proper design, they are not illuminating the sky, and that the lumen level was fully satisfactory. In fact, it was even suggested that it's possible that some of the lights could be turned off, that the area might actually be overlighted. So, I'd be interested to learn where there's a need for illumination, and I'll be happy to share that with the Dark Sky Committee.
Did you take into account the glare that's coming out of the lights?
Yep.
Okay. Because that often, even though it might be illuminating the area well, there's so much glare coming out of the fixture, it blinds you. And so as long as you're taking that into account in your assessment, I think that's really important.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I still felt there were some dark spots
Sure, and
as I walked.
point them
around.
out to me because we can always go back and do more field work.
And
it's
you
a
know,
great
the area where the restrooms and the showers are open all night long. Is that still the
No.
case?
They're
No,
locked.
no, they're locked.
They're secured and open at
Okay.
7 in the morning, I think it
Mhm.
is. something like
And
that.
when are they secured at night?
When they're cleaned, it's usually 9 or 10 o'clock
Yeah.
at night. There has been discussion because of the vandalism that we've seen is getting the, like doing this, how we badge into City Hall, and having them shut off at a particular time and then giving the cleaning crew badges to get in. So that's been discussed because we have had a lot of vandalism and it was shortly after those bathrooms were renovated.
Right. So those are, you know, that's a draw and for people.
Right.
And so my feeling was it could have been lit better. That was over there.
Huh,
But I'd be happy to go look at it with you.
sure. Just planning to do
Argue over a beer or something.
that. You bring the beer?
No drinking in the park, though.
Oh, did I say that?
I have a thermos upper.
Couple of blocks away from some very
Yeah,
nice
okay,
place.
thank you. Marty can come.
Okay, so, so I'll put a yes in the FY 27 column for that one. The next one is line 6, George H.B. Smith Park, begin planning for pond rehabilitation. We know that's in progress right now. We have people working on that various ways. So I don't think we need any changes for that, right? Okay. Line 7, Great Marsh Park, Great Development Plan. That's underway. As Barry said, there's going to be another public meeting on that in October, and then depending on what the state says, we'll proceed accordingly. Line 8 we talked about, line 9 webcams we talked about, and we're just going to get update. We need to get an update.
Yeah, if we can get an update, 'cause I would say this summer, I've seen 3 that I think I've photographed, people who've clearly spent the night in the parking lot, in a vehicle, kind of parked in a weird place, won't look at anybody, and as soon as people start arriving, take off.
Mhm.
And so I just think it would be a way to help the police keep an eye on what's going on without having to physically be there. And I think it would give us all a sense of safety, because I don't think I have ever been to the beach when I've been alone there. There's always someone there. So,
Okay, 110 Savannah Beach, John Walker Beach, new lighting system. Is this something, should we have the same consultant look at the beaches at the same time they're looking at Canal Front Park? Should we move that up to FY 27?
depends on what the dark sky
Right.
committee wants to do. I mean, we did lose a light standard in a pretty important spot due
Right.
to an accident.
The lighting in the parking lot is not good. I think we all can recognize that. And it has not been good for many years.
That's what I'm saying. What's been there has been there for a long time, doing a
Yeah.
great job.
It's
Storms and wind. I mean, it's windy now.
correct.
I mean, and it's done well, but the accident that took the standard out was, I think that one, that has left a gap.
Okay. I will tell you also that the Dark Sky Committee spent time in that parking lot, took measurements, and it's part of the scope. I'll put it that way.
Great.
I think if there's an opportunity for us to work collaboratively with this commission or
Mhm.
commissioners, let's have those conversations. Be happy to invite you to our meetings.
I think that would be great, because I think the beaches are the perfect place to be doing stargazing.
Well,
Yes,
It's
and,
open.
and we've actually had a preliminary conversation with the vendor about the possibility of solar lighting there, solar powered lighting rather than hardwire. I'm not sure that's going to bear fruit, but nonetheless, we've had that conversation.
Excellent. Thank you.
Oh my, should we merge
The
the
lightings,
lighting for beaches with the lighting for Canalford Park, or are they not? Should they not?
that could be merged. I mean, mine's more hopeful.
Well,
Mine's more aspirational, maybe.
if you're going to bring in a consultant,
Have a look at both.
you want to put that under one umbrella,
Mhm.
You may end up with different projects, but you don't know that yet. Just get,
Right.
yeah.
That's, yeah, that makes sense to me. I'll leave on separate lines, but I'll put them right next to each other.
Yeah.
So, beach stability, we talked about that, that's line 11.
Yep.
So we're down into moderate, line 15, Stango Complex. Refurbished drainage area, develop planting plans. Christina, you want, I keep getting confused as which is which, there's several similar projects. Is this one that's already underway,
Yes,
line 15?
yes, it is.
And
Could you read it aloud, please, Marty, and make sure we're following along?
I'm sorry, what was it?
Would you please read aloud the
Yeah.
proposal or the item?
So
So,
line 15 is for the Stango Complex. Along the Lewis Georgetown Trail between Adams and Monroe. Refurbish drainage area and develop planting plans.
thank you.
Okay, that's further, okay, I see that. Yeah. So is that still something you want to do in?
Yes, I
It's
would like to
listed for
pursue that, but
FY28.
it's not a priority.
Yeah, it's listed for FY28, so I think that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Line 16, Zonadale Park, upgrade the current irrigation system. This is an aged system that has been repaired numerous times. It's now listed for FY29.
Well, again, it's a long-term capital project, but I think it can be combined with other irrigation systems within the parks to have a consultant come in and say, okay, this is what needs to be done at this park and this park and this park, and then have it be done as one large capital project.
Okay, what other parks have this issue that we want to address?
Well, I think Canal Front Park, we had kind of a major effort put in just a couple of years ago
Mhm.
where things were falling apart and the whole park was looked at and corrections were made. And an as-built drawing was prepared, so we now know where everything is. That's what doesn't occur in a lot of these parks. We don't know where everything is. So any kind of improvements that are done out there ought to include as-built drawings.
Yes.
May I ask a question, Ray, of you and Swanadale Park, please, regarding the irrigation system? Is it your opinion that the entire system, that existing system will need to be abandoned and replaced with a new system? Is that your?
Well, I'm not an expert on irrigation, but I know that the system that's what we've done in the past. And it's just cobbled together.
Okay,
And we do know, we do know where things are because we did, but again, it's not an official diagram. It's just, oh yeah, this goes here, zone 6 goes here.
okay.
So I guess the thinking would be instead of doing things the way we always did it and just cobble it together and piece it together,
Right.
let's look at what an entire new irrigation system would be. I know one thing that it would be less expensive water-wise because we have big pipes and small pipes there within Zonadale now. So yeah, my thought would be the capital project would involve an entire new system
Okay.
installation.
And one more question, please. Regarding that irrigation system and the fact that you've also identified that there would be the necessity to do brickwork in that park for the, it seems to me, is there any concern or consideration that needs to be taken into mind with respect to providing conduit underneath brick paths before the brick paths are refurbished, that kind of
Yes,
thing?
it would have to be planned out that way. In fact,
Okay.
when we repaired the sewer line coming out this past year, we had to take up the bricks, put
Yep,
conduit
I
underneath
remember.
there and redo that. So that
Right.
would have to be a scheduling for that, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so line 17, Wannadale Park, rebuild the current fountain structure. That's on now for FY 29, but is that being done now or next year?
That's probably going to move up. Allison has spoken with contractors and is getting estimates. There was quite some public pushback on decommissioning it this past summer, so I think we should probably move that up. And because that involves some brickwork too, I just would lump that in with all of the other brickworks and repointing, which is line 8.
We'll just put them all next to each other.
Mhm.
Brickwork in the line, so yeah, that jumps up to capital, to priority because. Okay, line 18, Savannah Beach, continue renovation and expansion of lifeguard area and Lewis Beach Patrol building. Says it was under design, is that?
That's as far as I know with it, that it's under design. I don't know what year it's really
So I think,
realistically planned.
I think the design is complete. It's morphed quite a bit. I think that we put that in the FY 26 budget. So, probably, I think over the winter we can get that done. Julia, do you remember? Didn't bring the budget with me.
Yes, it was budgeted for. I just don't know how much because there was a very large delta.
Okay. So
Okay.
we'll, Strom and Julia and I can look into that, but I'm pretty sure that is for FY 26.
Yeah. We have it for FY 26 and 27, I think, for the time being, we just leave it like that
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
until we get more information.
okay. I didn't know if it was the design and the construction, or I didn't know
Yeah,
that it was one.
No, we have the quote for the construction.
We have a blueprint, you know,
Okay.
sound under design.
The design is done.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay, line 19, Savannah Beach and Johnny Walker Beach continue to work on compliant recycling program. And I put in their recycling bin installed summer of calendar year 2025. Do we need to add anything else? I mean, we're just gonna keep an eye on that and see what happens.
I think there'll be a discussion of what worked and what didn't work, and then we can adjust for next year and maybe
So is that
more-
really a capital project or?
It's not capital, it's kind of routine, and the staff are monitoring it. We have a citizen who is also monitoring it. The feedback that I've gotten is that there's been, with these new bins, very little contamination. So we will probably, for next summer, bring those same recycle bins over to Savannah Beach, and then we can take that off the table, but that should be moved over to just
I'll put it in
routine.
Okay, going to 20, Johnny Walker Beach, kiosk sign and pavilion, sign will be ready in April 2026.
Can I just go back to the recycle then?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. So for 2027, we will need to budget for additional recycle bins. So that's just a, routine one-time purchase for the Savannah Beach recycling.
Okay, line 20, Johnny Walker Beach, kiosk sign and pavilion. sign will be ready in 2026, part of the Delaware 250 program. Is that,
Yes, and we have a grant for the kiosk sign, and I think we're hoping to get a grant for the pavilion as well. There will
Well, the
be.
kiosk sign has been budgeted for along with the grant, so we have all of that in place.
Yeah,
okay,
and currently the group is picking out photos and text. And there is a designer at the sign company who would propose a design using the elements.
is
So
that
that-
the sign? This also talks about a pavilion.
The pavilion would also, I think, follow the same route. We would hope for another grant for that. There will be work done by the city engineer as far as design. But we're hoping to be able to get a grant for that. And I've submitted a draft of the DENREC permit to Julia, and we'll be working on that.
Should this be split up into two lines since they're two different timelines?
Well, one's nearly done, one's coming. They can stay together. It's okay. They're, commemorating Johnny Walker, and then the historic, it's a historic project, so they can stay together.
Alrighty. Line
Did you-
21.
Wait, Tim, did you have a question about?
No, thank you.
Sorry.
Great Marsh Park and trees, managed forest. This is listed as both routine and capital, but honestly, at this point, I'm not sure what to say about that. Cause I'm not sure what all we'll have to do. I mean, let's put it this way, as far as the trees at Great Marsh Park to date, our management has consisted of, removing invasives when we get a grant to do so, when that's elsewhere in this list. And we did do, a year and a half ago, we did some removal of tree of heaven and treating for spotted lanternfly, which when I've been back there, by the way, I haven't seen any more spotted lanternfly back there. It's kind of.
They're in my yard.
I've seen,
Didn't want to go. You're in the-
saw them in my yard, I'm right next to
It's
it.
not in my yard, but I didn't see them in Great Marsh Park, which shocked me because I was told these are so difficult to deal with, but, well, I don't know. They have some in my yard.
Is there any, I pose a question, is there any deadline that we have to be aware of with respect to the state and our agreement with the state to keep that as a park and get the master plan done
Well,
and approved
I'm
and all that stuff?
assuming that we're gonna get final approval after our public meeting on the 26th, 27th.
So
And
the-
I'm planning to just go ahead with the next part of the process.
the city has a meeting tomorrow with Secretary Patterson on several issues, Great Marsh Park being one of them. So he will receive an update tomorrow, and my ask is that we have this concept plan approved prior to March 2026 for the lease renewal.
That's the deadline, right?
Mhm.
So if we have trouble getting it approved, then it becomes a high priority.
It all depends, I guess, on if they ask for more things. I mean, we'll see what happens at the public meeting and.
Yeah, I had, Julia and Strom and I don't know, several weeks ago, had a meeting with the two DENREC folks that we've been working with. And I went over those notes, had a couple of questions that I shot off to them on Friday. They're heading to Florida for the same conference that Julia's at. So, I think that I think that we can move it forward. It's just been dragging on a long time. We submitted that we got mayor and council approval in 2022. So, and this is the farthest that we've gotten in the nearly 20 years since we've had the lease. So, I would like to pull this across the finish line and get to work.
I mean, the only thing that might happen is they might decide from the last public meeting that, hey, maybe we ought to do a study on this before I just can't imagine it going beyond March. I mean,
No, I think,
and we need to we just need to put pressure on it and make sure it happens.
mhm.
21, it seems to me that this line really belongs under routine. We have all our other tree planting under routine.
Well, we don't know. There might be some capital things that we can do in preparation. I mean, I don't know. That's why.
Well, okay, I'll leave it.
Or if that's what gets us across the
Manage it.
If some capital
Thank you.
expenditure pushes it across the finish line, we should do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
and we could spend a lot of money on managing the forest. I mean, it's not just a here and there kind of thing. You're talking about managing 66 acres.
What is
This
this
is-
line is
don't worry about it.
Just about
Right.
trees.
It's about managing the forest,
No line,
the whole
yeah.
property. That's
Thank you very
what-
much.
Okay, I see, it's the. I
But
guess
that's
you-
not the way I wrote it, and that's
yeah.
not my intent. My intent was to
So you got-
manage the forest as we develop the park, because
So
they're
you
gonna
mean
take.
trails and gazebos and all that? The whole thing?
No. No, I'm talking about managing the forest. We
Right.
have a forest there, and that includes all the entire area, including the marsh. So I want the state forest department to come in and help us to develop a plan so that this year we remove invasive species. This year we do something else where we are prepping the site to develop the plan. And so it's not just, oh, get a grant for this, do that. No, it's an entire plan, and that's what I've asked them to come to do.
Okay,
That's the state, right? That,
Yes, I mean,
Yes.
that's kind of their job, as I see it, is, and we need to actively manage that site so that we don't run into problems when we try to start to develop the trails and whatever we're doing,
thank you.
or run into additional expenses, because we didn't take care of this. We're aware of that.
okay.
I don't know, pushing priority, but
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
priority
okay.
for me.
No. I get it. I mean, we can spend hours just talking about managing forests and how to do that. So that's a very big topic, but I get it. Okay, line 22, Stango Complex, carry out landscape design plan for area library. And you know what? I need to update this because part of this has been done. I did update the version that's in the routine. I'm gonna update this because we have planted trees on the berm itself. What we haven't done is install a walkway, benches, pollinator garden, dry street bed. I'm gonna change that around
Okay,
because now we get down to, the walkway is definitely a capital project. Probably do the walkway and benches.
yeah. And planting trees is something that could be in our regular budget.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
depending on what funding we get when we do. it
Oh,
all at
yeah,
once or
it could
something,
also
but-
be a grant-funded
Yeah,
project.
okay. But that part of it, the walkway is definitely capital project. Okay.
Okay,
Down under low priority now. We have line 25, Canal Front Park, flagpole. Current flagpole is in a bed near the pavilion. The bed has an overgrown bayberry shrub and a visually obtrusive light device. The Friends of the City Canal Front Park wish to improve the site by changing the light source and providing decking and seating around the pole with interpretive information about the history of the waterfront. And the costs would be borne by the Friends of Canal Front Park.
Let's just keep that as a low priority.
And it's listed for FY 28, so Okay,
Rodney, some work has been done on that, right? With the removal of the shrubs that were, But-
Yes, some of the
yeah.
shrubs have been taken out.
okay.
line 26, Stango Complex. The alley area between the front of the library and the trailhead comfort station. Add irrigation for containers, beds, and bump outs. So this is what, an irrigation issue, I guess.
Hmm.
It's listed as FY 26, but is that
That was a proposal that was never followed.
never
It-
done?
Followed through.
No, it was a request,
A
but it
request?
was not budgeted for.
Mhm.
I thought I saw Los and Bloom people using a hose to water the containers.
Yeah, they're hand watering.
They are hand watering.
Mhm.
Hand watering, okay. So should we just move this to FY 27 or?
I think we should remove it at this time.
I'm sorry.
Remove it? Is it?
Remove it, she said.
Huh.
Remove it, remove it, remove it.
I mean, unless that's Christine and anyone else in the parks that wants to irrigate the alley.
I think it's a discussion we could have.
Okay.
We did get a bid of $10,500 to install irrigation that would go to each one of the 18 containers in the park and the bump outs. And I know that that is something obviously that Lewis and Bloom would like to see. Because like we said, they're hand watering right now, so I don't think that it's something that we need to do right away, but I think we should keep it in the budget in some point, in some
Discuss.
form, just to discuss, yes. Mhm.
How about if I leave it in there, but put it for FY 28? So bump it down the road or?
Sure, down the road. Mhm.
Okay. Line 27, George H.P. Smith Park. Add fencing around the back and sides of the porta potties in the parking lot. This is listed as FY 26. Was money awarded for that or? Did we get money in our budget for FY 26 for that or?
Julia, was that attended to as far as being taken care of this year?
We did budget for it, but no, it has not moved any forward.
Okay.
Is there any reason why it can't move forward?
Honestly, I'm not sure. That's something I need to discuss with Janet and Ellen Lorraine and find out what needs to be done.
It's just something that I think is really important. We've got beautiful parks. And we have, every time you go to the farmer's market, you got to look at a porta potty. It's a simple fix to make the park look nicer. They have them in the state park. They just put an enclosure around it and, so you don't have to look at the porta potties all the time. And to me, you don't have to worry that much about vandalizing porta potties,
Well,
like permanent ones, but a simple fence is going to add tremendously to the set aesthetics. I'm sure Rodney would agree with me on that.
okay, well, I put it on my list and I can, when I get back next week, I can definitely see if I can get some proposals and design ideas and see what we can do.
May I ask a follow-up question, please, about the porta potties and fencing? I believe this fencing was to be focused at the parking lot by the Thomas School. Is that correct? Those porta potties there? Is it-
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about the porta potty at what I'm going to call the BB Hospital side, the entrance to the park? At that entrance, there's also a porta potty. It is not attractive. And was that to be included in the scope? And
That was not in the scope to be concluded.
It's not
I
quite
know.
as visible, but
well, if you
Well, it is
enter-
from that side. If you enter from that side, I understand what Tim is saying, that it is visible from that
Right, and if
side.
you're creating that system, if you're creating standards, that's what you want to go for, right? That's part of developing that system standard. Thank you. Excuse me, Julia, please.
No, you're fine.
I'll add another line for the BB side. We'll get there. And whether you could put it all in one contract or not, I don't know.
Right.
That's for you to figure out.
I had a question of whether or not you need to get permission from Cape Henlopen High School to construct the fence around that area or not, just out of curiosity.
The high school or the school system, the school district?
The high school, the district, I believe, owns that property and leases it to the city.
Mm-hmm. I think she's right.
No, oh, she's absolutely
I-
correct, yeah.
Right.
Well, and then we'd have to ask permission from BB Hospital
For the other
to
side.
enclose the one on that side
Is
because
that on
their
their property?
their
Yes,
property comes through. Yep.
Here.
but I think you still have to ask.
Right.
All right, the very next line, line 28, is for George H.P. Smith Park, installation of permanent restrooms, and that's slated for FY 29-30, so we just leave it on there as long-term
Yep.
vision.
Yeah, and again, that would be on their school district property. The location.
It doesn't have to be on school district property. I mean, there's a significant portion of the park that the city does own, which includes like to the backside of where we did the plantings, Marty, a couple of years ago with the roots and shoots.
That's city property, right?
That's city property. I mean, it would make sense to have it a little bit closer to the parking lot, but people walk the pond every single day. They enter from BB and they enter from Johnson Boulevard. So, you know, it's not unlike the bathrooms that were constructed in Zwanendale. They're back and they're against a fence that separates private property from the city property. So it would be very similar.
Mhm.
And that way we don't have to get permission from the school district or BB.
And there may be other locations too, I would think, what I would be thinking about is, the big crowds you get are for Juneteenth, National Night Out, and then the farmer's market, so. I would want something that's reasonably convenient to those people, so I don't know, maybe there's someplace, I don't know. If it, at the time, in a couple of years, if we get around to this one. Think about
Well,
locations,
closest of the utility hookup as well.
yeah.
That's
Mm.
probably the real driver.
Okay, line 29, Stango Complex, replace the stage in Stango Park, that's listed as FY 30. I guess just leave it long-term for the time.
That's long-term.
Okay,
Stage might fall apart by then.
That's called demolition, please.
line 30 is Wanadale Park, build an enclosure for the trash cans that presently sit behind the Fisher Martin house.
Oh, yeah.
It says, the city has indicated it would do this. And that's listed as FY 26 and 27, so. Is that underway or is that?
It is not underway at this time, but I will follow up with maintenance to find out what is going on with that, because they had been the ones that said they would be able to do it. I'll follow up with that next week.
Julia, would you please also follow up with me on that particular item due
Sure.
to? Thank you.
Sure.
And I'll explain myself because we're going to
Okay.
need to coordinate that with Fisher Martin work. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, line 31, at the Savannah Beach and Johnny Walker Beach, air pumps for beach toys, that's listed as aspirational. I guess we could just kind of leave it there,
Mhm.
it's for down the road a piece.
Mhm.
32, Johnny Walker Beach, temporary storage for beach wheels. And that again is listed for FY 28 and 29, is that
Mhm.
same?
Yeah, just because the beach wheels are at Savannah rather than at Johnny Walker.
Just for clarity, those are the beach wheelchairs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was just thinking that for use, it's just closer. Or people would take advantage of it once they saw it. Because I think there's a fair amount of that. Where people say, no, I don't need that. So they see it's right there. Then they're like, yes, I do.
And when you describe it as temporary storage, the idea is it'd be put there seasonally and then taken away for is that what you're thinking?
It possibly, it kind of depends on what we find out with the pavilion application,
Hmm.
what's really possible. I just want people to be able to have access to a really nice amenity that
Okay.
makes the beach possible for a lot of people.
Right.
So I just thought if they're physically close, they would do it.
Right. Right.
Okay, I put in a couple lines about future priorities because it's stuff we want to do, but timing is unknown at this point because of things that have to be done first. So I'll go through these hopefully very quickly. Line 36 is George H.B. Smith Park, walkway around the pond, bring it to ADA compliance after the pond is rehabilitated. They have to figure out the pond itself first, and then we can start thinking seriously about
Yep.
what, if anything, we're gonna do with the path. That's my opinion. Everybody. know. Line 37. There's bunch of lines here, 37 to 43 about Great Marsh Park, and these are all depending on the master plan approval and what the state eventually approves, and a bunch of things that I guess
We
have
don't
to be
know.
done or possibly will be done. You know, historical cultural research review, complete engineering studies.
The only thing that is priority for me is to get a survey of the park.
You know what? I
Clearly
would
marked,
like to move that to-
clearly marked boundaries. I mean, the state is
At
leasing
least
us.
That's at least moderate priority, because there's a lot of things you just can't do unless you know where the edges are.
Yeah, I mean, we have some of the meets and bounds, but it's not marked. So you don't know whether you're on Harbor Point property or Canary Creek.
We have a piece of paper, but you have to have a surveyor take that. meets and bounds and-
Exactly. I think maybe the state should do that since they're
I
leasing it
think
to.
that makes absolute sense, Barry.
Well, how do you have meets and bounds and no survey?
Well,
Because you do the survey and then the meets
Because
and
they
bounds
put-
come from the
Sure.
survey.
They went to the,
they put clear stakes in the ground.
they
so-
don't survey the piece of property. All they do is go, well, here's the line for University of Delaware. Here's the line for,
Oh,
it's all
Yeah, you
in
need to
there,
know.
but there's nothing physically that you can see.
there are plenty of
Right,
space.
right, right.
They have a very detailed meets and bounds, legally sufficient, detailed meets and bounds, and stuff can work with
That are
everything. The
surveyed.
problem is, they didn't put any marks in the ground so that we can go back now and.
Well, it
see
was a
where they
negative
marked are.
survey. It was a negative survey.
And
It doesn't
still-
belong to anybody else, so it must be yours. And that's kind of typical, but you're right, you do need a proper
It was
survey,
never
so you know. I
surveyed.
mean, look at George H.P. Smith Park. I mean, there was a fence that meant absolutely nothing. Everyone thought it was an actual divider of property, when it wasn't. It was just a random fence. So you do need to know, but
Yep.
I'm shocked that they would give you a survey that's just a negative survey.
Well, it's part of the lease,
Yes.
it's put in the lease, and then
I mean, it won't be
you
cheap,
can
but
tell approximately where some of the places are, but when you get into the corners,
it's not cheap, but you need it. You need to know what you've got.
Folks, could we move on?
Yeah.
So.
Maybe you just move up to high priority is getting that property surveyed and staked, and then go.
And you're,
So we'll put that as a high priority rather than moderate.
Yes.
Okay. It's listed for FY 26, but we didn't get money budgeted for FY 26. For survey. So okay, so we're gonna have to put that in for a budget request, I think. Okay, I'm gonna pass through the rest of these. We wanna start on hopefully the routine stuff will,
let's. oh, go
Can,
ahead, Jen.
can I make a suggestion? I think for tonight's purposes, what is really important for budgeting for FY 27 is to get the capital projects cleared up tonight, because Julia and Strom and I are going to have to, mostly Julia and Strom, are going to have to start to get estimates for the projects. So item 4 under capital, we already have the application in for the ORTP grant. And I believe Julia has an idea of what that whole project is going to cost. Yes, Jewel?
Yes, vague. It's not, there's,
Okay.
yes, vague.
Right. So I think yes, we did some work on this in FY 26 to submit for the grant. And then we'll carry that over to 27. So hopefully that can be completed. Line 4, line 4 under capital. So city staff will move forward with monitoring the status of the grant and putting money in the budget for FY 27, which starts April 1st, 2026. Okay. What I heard was consensus on line 5 to start a study for the lighting in Canal Front Park. So we would have to budget for that. And then the FY 28 and 9 would probably be if working with Dark Sky Lighting Committee.
So it would
Continue.
not be just Canal Front Park. Could we include other parks in that study?
Mm-hmm. And
That's the goal.
I think the Johnny Walker Beach and Savannah Beach lighting system I heard consensus that could go into that study as well.
You tonight that I would put that up there next
Mhm.
to it.
Yep.
Do it. Maybe.
Could I add the library parking lot to that?
That's
Sorry.
where I thought the pilot project was starting
Starting, oh, okay. Oh.
at the library. I don't,
It's in discussion.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. So I
Thank you,
think,
Christine.
You're welcome.
I think what this discussion reveals is that, Parks and Rec are talking about these things, but there are other city committees and work groups that are so it's really important that we consider the cross interest
Exactly.
in discussing these. So line 6 is George H.P. Smith Park, the pond rehabilitation. This is another area where there is a small work group consisting of a council member, a resident, and staff. So I think we know that we had a company come in and make a presentation to mayor and city council. Now we have a small work group looking at other options. So I think that we'll have to throw a small amount of money in there just in case there are some maybe small things that are going to be done. I don't know that mayor and council hasn't made a determination on that yet.
Yeah.
So line 7 is Great Marsh Park. Create the development plan and timeline for implementation of the master plan. I think there's no money attached to that for FY 27 at this point. We're meeting with the secretary tomorrow, and that will give us a bit more direction. We also have the public hearing on the 27th. Line 8 is the brickwork repairs that need to be done in Mary Bessel's Park, 1812, and Zwannendale. I think there was consensus that that's a safety issue and we need to move those forward along with the refurbishing or whatever we want to call it of the fountain. The webcams and the hotspots, I will look into. The lighting study, we talked about that. And beach stability, we were moving out of the high priority list, right?
Yeah.
So our definites are Canal Front Park accessibility, starting the lighting study for Canal Front Park and other parks, continue with the pond rehabilitation, and then the brick repairs. So that's for capital projects. Some are at least one is kind of two are kind of in progress. So that's my assessment. That's what I heard. If you all need to take a vote on it, go ahead.
Would you like a motion or it just it seemed like we're in agreement and don't,
There,
no objection?
I think that would need a motion because it's gonna drive budgeting for Julia and Strom and me. So that there's consensus that these are all moving forward as capital projects.
So do we have a motion then about the 4 main projects as Janet outlined? Do I have a motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion that we agree that those are the 4 main projects that we should pursue as capital improvement projects.
For FY 27.
27, thank you.
Yep, second.
So a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Hope not.
Heck no. All discussion out.
I heard that.
The balloon over all of our heads. And so we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Does this give enough guidance for tonight? Do we need to go through the routine or not so much?
I think this is enough for tonight because these are big projects that staff needs to do work on. So that because we're starting budget now. I think the routine ones are, really just routine maintenance. So I think you can put that on October.
Okay. Okay.
I will update the capital chart for the extent of I'll update my charts actually, because some stuff gets awful routine in capital. And hopefully it'll be a better guide. And send that out.
And the other thing that the commission needs to think about is that this has to go back to mayor and council if they have it, well, I think they will, but it says by January 1st, but so.
When you say this, you mean both capital and routine?
Yes.
Strategic.
Yeah, it's the strategic plan for the park system.
Right.
So they both have to go back. So if the routine maintenance one, those will also drive budget, but they're a little bit easier to manage than the capital. But it all has to go back to mayor and council before January 1st. So
realistically speaking, we need to plan on it being on mayor and council's December agenda. So we need to vote on it in November.
mhm.
This time may or may not be in town, so you might have to do it.
In November? Oh, I definitely.
December.
December. Oh, in December,
I'm gonna
okay.
be out of town early December.
Everybody gets to go out of town.
We do virtual meetings here too.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I think
Thank
that
you.
discussion
Barry, you look like you're getting ready to make a motion.
gives staff
Let me just say one thing.
direction.
Thank you, Janet, and we'll put reorganization on the list for next time. And I'll also move the discussion about the ordinance review ad hoc committee for next time too, because I think we're all ready.
Okay.
So is there any public comment on anything that has happened tonight?
I move we adjourn.
Is it- Nobody's on? Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Our meeting adjourns at 7:26.
Have a good night.
Thank
Okay,
you.
bye.
Good night.